So my name is Paul Lacerte. I'm the Executive Director for the BC Association of Aboriginal Friendship Centres. I'm a mixed blood person. I'm Carrier, French and Lebanese, and was born and raised in the Carrier First Nations territory in north central British Columbia. And I've been the Executive Director for the BC Association of Aboriginal Friendship Centres for the past 17 years. So I started with the BC Association of Friendship Centres when I was 22 and a half. And I got a job as the van driver for a board of directors meeting that was held in Victoria, ferrying people back and forth from the airport. And I remember they were talking about self-government for our people off reserve. And so these creative conversations have been happening amongst the friendship centers ever since our people started migrating away from the reserves and going into towns and cities for all sorts of reasons. Better quality of life, housing, education kind of opportunities, medical reasons. But really after they changed the Indian Act in 1960, that was really when the momentum of the migration of Native people to towns and cities really took hold. And the friendship center movement grew out of that. And I feel like that's been my experience with the Friendship Center movement. As I moved from my home community into Victoria, went to the Victoria Friendship Center, to the employment unit, and landed a job with the BC Association of Friendship Centers. I was very blessed to learn as one of my mentors and a great man, Rusty Wilson, became the executive director while I was still very young, long-haired, didn't have a clue what I was doing. And he took me under his wing and really taught me about the philosophy of community service in the friendship centers, and that it's really about helping our people. And that it's not in the way that the government thinks about helping our people. It's in the way that our culture teaches us, in the circle teachings and in the medicine wheel teachings. All of the colors of people, all of the ages, doesn't matter where you're from, doesn't matter if you have your status card or no status card, doesn't matter the kind of things that you need help with. The friendship centers are there with open arms to do the best that we can to help you improve the quality of the lives of our brothers and sisters that walk through the door. And it was really Rusty Wilson that taught me that and set me on my path to staying with the friendship centers. I remember going to my first NAFC AGM as a youth voting delegate for the BC Association in Brandon, Manitoba. And Rusty nominated me right away for the elections committee. And so all of a sudden I'm sitting up in front of 400 people, and I felt like my heart was going to burst out of my chest. And so I know how our young people feel. And I've had such a powerful connection with that opportunity in particular in the friendship centers. We really open our arms to young people to join us in our board of directors, help as volunteers, to work. A lot of us started as summer students working in friendship centers, and you hear people say this over and over again, is that they didn't intend to stay around for a long time, and they blink and they've spent their entire life serving our communities through friendship centers. And I love that. I love the movement for that. I'm a lifer, and one of the great things we've been able to achieve over the last 17 years is we've organized the Provincial Aboriginal Youth Conference, and we call it Gathering Our Voices now. And one really powerful experience that we had was in Prince George, and we had a tradition in Carrier territory of people bringing rocks to a meeting, and they would leave a rock pile, and the rock pile would show the location of the meeting and how many people were there. So we invited all of the youth that participated in that youth conference. We had over 1,300 youth participating at that particular conference, and we asked the elders if we could leave a rock pile in their territory. And they invited us to leave this rock pile in an unmarked ancestral burial ground. And so we marched from the conference center to the burial ground. The elders were waiting there in their regalia, and they formed an honor guard and drummed and sang their old songs while the youth walked by them and placed the rocks into this rock pile, and later masoned those rocks into a four-clan pillar, a headstone, to connect our elders and youth And that's been such a powerful gift that the Friendship Centers have given to our elders, as well as creating that space to heal the relationship between our elders and our youth, to make it safe, to make it okay for people to hug each other, to create space for teachings and passing on our traditional ways of thinking about the world to our young people. And so it's like a nest. The Friendship Center movement is like a nest where you can feel like you're in a family, you can feel like you're in a safe place, and you can do your own personal healing and strength building and excellence building. You can make really powerful connections with other good people, and you can find a way to give back to your community. And so in the last 40 years, we've had just heroes, giants in the political arena, and those quiet and humble volunteers that have spent decades lifting up our communities. And in those past 40 years, we've grown this movement to 117 Friendship Centers across the country. Here in British Columbia, 25 Friendship Centers, over 1,000 employees, over 4,000 registered volunteers. It's absolutely fabulous to imagine what we can do for the next 40 years from now. Many of us will be gone in that time, and leaving a legacy of a social movement, social movement that's so diverse and so engaged and entrenched in our communities, and a way to continue to make sure that Aboriginal people, as we move away from the residential school, that we continue to move from just surviving back into thriving again, move from being dependent to being independent, and to occupy our rightful space in this country. There is only one founding nation in Canada, and it's our First Nations. And then we have brothers and sisters who have decided to come and share this land with us. So continuing to help to navigate the race relations in this country, in towns and cities, really where the rubber hits the road, and in the way that Native and non-Native people think and feel about each other. And so over the next 40 years, I vision that Friendship Centers will continue to help to close that gap, to help to build a shared understanding and real respectful relationships between Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal people. And that our young people, the norm will become over the next 40 years, that our young people will grow up in safe and healthy homes, where they have a mom and dad that is strongly rooted in our traditional teachings, are there for their kids, and that we will continue to heal and revive our culture. There's a lot of efforts been made for a long period of time to extinguish our traditional ways of thinking and being. And, I think the Friendship Centers can play a vitally important role as people move into towns and cities to find that way to protect that Indigenous way of thinking about the world and how we conduct ourselves. And I look forward to it. I'll be a part of the movement for the rest of my life. That's all I have to say on my relations.